Hello everyone, welcome to Logo Learnings. In today's session, we are going to look at the second part of the chapter 2 of Indian economic development, the Indian economy 1950 to 1990. So the topic that we are going to deal with is the agriculture. So we have already covered the topic agriculture in the first chapter, Indian economy on the eve of independence. We saw that India was an agrarian country. More than 75% of the people are employed in agricultural sector. Then agriculture is the backbone of the Indian economy. It is a source of livelihood for most of the population living within India. Then the agriculture sector acts as a bulwark in maintaining food security and consequently national security as well. So that means that in the case of food security, agriculture plays a major role. It acts as a defensive wall against the food crisis. Then the features of Indian agriculture. The features of Indian agriculture are large varieties of crops are grown. So large varieties of crops are grown in India like wheat, maize, pulse, etc. Then agriculture output depends on rainfall and other natural factors. So it depends upon rainfall and other natural factors. Which all are these natural factors? These natural factors are droughts, storms, floods, such natural calamities. Then the next point is subsistence farming. That means, what is subsistence farming? So subsistence farming is a form of farming in which the farmers use the produced food items to meet his family or the needs of his family and maintain the farmer and farmer's family. The surplus, they are not producing for a commercial purpose. They are just consuming. They are producing these agricultural products for consumption and not for selling or not for sale. That feature means there was an absence of commercial farming and abundance of subsistence farming. Then mostly labor intensive. So capital intensive techniques were not used. There were labor intensive techniques. That means more labor force was engaged in agriculture. A source of livelihood for the poor. So it was a major source of livelihood for the poor people residing in India. Then which all were the measures regarding agrarian reform? Institutional reforms, technical reforms, and general reforms. So institutional reforms includes land reforms and land sealing. In the case of technical reform means a green revolution. Then general reforms means some common reforms. Then the first one, institutional reforms. In that, the first topic is land reform. So what is a land reform? So land reform means it refers to change in the ownership of land holdings, land to the tiller. That's what this concept is. So in the first chapter, we have seen that about the Zamindari system, and the land ownership was in the name of the Zamindars. There were intermediaries. So the abolition of intermediaries is one of the most important aim of this reform, land reform. So the abolition of intermediaries such as Zamindars and the regulation of rent. That means to avoid rent because the land owners are the Zamindars during that time, and the farmers or the people who work in the land has to pay rent to the landowners. So that system was abolished and the land was given to the tiller, that is the farmer itself. So the ownership was transferred from the Zamindars to the actual owners of land, that is the farmers. Then the idea was land to the tiller, then regulation of rent, then security of tenure and ownership rights for tenants. That were the aim of land reforms. So regulation of rent means until when the land was distributed to the farmers, they have to pay rent. So that rent was controlled and reduced up to which the farmers can afford. Then the security of tenure. Security of tenure means provide security for or provide security to tenant cultivation. Here, the tenant has to be given with prescribed minimum area for cultivation. Then what is ownership rights for tenants? Giving rights, ownership of land to the tenants, transferring from zamindars or intermediaries. Then the types of the topics coming under land reforms are land sealing, consolidation of holdings, and cooperative farming. So what is land sealing? Land ceiling means making changes on the holding size one can own. That means the fixing the land holding size. So a maximum amount of land can only be owned by the people. So that was fixed. So the aim was to avoid the concentration or reduce the concentration of land ownership in a few hands and distribute or redistribute it to all the people within India, both the rich and poor people. Then promotes equity in agriculture. Then there existed certain loopholes or mistakes that led to the failure or slow progress of land reforms and land ceiling. When the land reforms took place, the landowners or the big landowners started to divide or distribute their land amongst their family members. They transferred their land into their family members, and they made it within their control. And some big landowners just mentioned themselves as the farmers and gained the land. So these were some of the reasons for the slow progress and some of the mistakes and loopholes in land ceiling and land reforms. But in the states of Kerala and West Bengal, it was very successful because the people were supportive and the political will was there. So the people, it was successful in the states of Kerala and West Bengal. Then the next one is consolidation of holdings. Consolidation of holding means small scattered bits of land can be grouped together into a single compact block, and these can be exchanged for land at one place. So this means the small bits of land owned by different people in an area are collected by the government and combined together into a single compact block, which can be used for farming and exchange, and the people are exchanged with the same amount of land in another area. And the reasons are, so the progress was very slow, and the reasons for this slow progress was the farmers were attached to their ancestral land. So they were attached to their land that they got from their ancestors. So they were not reluctant. They were reluctant to transfer or give their land to the government. Then the farmers feared that the land that they would receive may not be of good quality, and it was very slow and corrupt. That means dishonesty existed. So the people thought they might be cheated because they might receive a less quality land than of their land's quality. Then lack of cooperation between rich and poor. So the rich and poor were not in harmony. They were not having cooperation. So that also led to the slow progress. Then cooperative farming. So cooperative farming means the landowners in the village form cooperative societies for cultivation of land in the village. So the farmers join and start a cooperative society for cultivation or for cultivating the land and get money for commercial farming. Then the technical reform. Coming to the technical reform means the technologies that were invented or implemented in India in the case of agriculture. So it is a green revolution. So what is green revolution? Green revolution refers to the tremendous increase in agricultural production and productivity resulting from the use of a high yielding variety of seeds. So it is a tremendous increase in agricultural production and productivity, or it is a large or huge increase, sudden increase in the agricultural production and productivity, which was caused by the implementation of HYV seeds in India. HYV seeds means high yielding variety of seeds, which increased the production of agricultural sector in India. It transformed an economy of scarcity into an economy of plenty because it allowed the farmers to harvest one or two or more than two crops within a year, and so on. Then the HYV seeds of wheat was developed. So it is considered as a wheat revolution. Grain revolution is considered as wheat revolution because these HYV seeds were most helpful and successful. This grain revolution was successful in for wheat. That's the reason why it is considered as wheat revolution. Then HYV seeds was developed by a Mexican scientist named Norman Borlaug. And the Green Revolution in India is also known as Wheat Revolution. It was restricted to only 5 crops. So the 5 crops to which Green Revolution was restricted were wheat, rice, jowar, bajra, and maize. Then the features of Green Revolution. The features of Green Revolution are application of package inputs. Package inputs means a package of inputs which consists of high yielding variety seeds or HYV seeds, then pesticides, fertilizers, and improved agricultural practices in the area of assured water supply and so on. Then the Green Revolution allowed the farmers to grow or produce 2 or more harvests in 1 year. Then provision of credit facilities by government. So the government also provided credit facilities which allowed the poor farmers to acquire the new technologies and enhance their farming. Then emphasis on minor irrigation works. So minor irrigation works was also emphasized. Then announcing of minimum support price. So the minimum support price was announced by the government before in advance of the sowing season. For this avoided the wide fluctuation in the income of farmers. Then that means the farmers received a steady income in all the situations. Then the achievements of Green Revolution are led to rise in production and productivity. So it led to a rise in the production and productivity because we saw that it is a tremendous increase in the production and productivity of agriculture. Then increased income. So as the new latest technology came, this reduced. So it is a capital intensive technology. So the labor were less. So the people could earn huge profits and earn a good income from agriculture. Then rise in commercial farming. So there was a change from subsistence farming to commercial farming. Commercial farming means the farming done for making profit or to sell in the market and gain profit. Then increased employment. Increased employment means that the chance for livelihood or the way for livelihood was open to the people. So the poor people also got subsidies and other credit facilities from the government, so they also found a way of a livelihood. That's what employment means. Actually there is a form of unemployment that we will see in the failure reason. Also increased employment means it decreased or it eliminated disguised unemployment. Disguised unemployment means the people are employed but actually not employed. So in the case of a farm requiring 5 employees, the 10 employees are employed. So the remaining 5 are disguised unemployment, are doing disguised unemployment. So it eliminates disguised as well as seasonal unemployment because agriculture is seasonal. So the failure of a Green Revolution. The next topic is failures of Green Revolution. So restricted to limited crops and areas. So we saw that it was only available or it was only capable for 5 crop. Then and was also restricted to areas having rich water supply. Then unequal distribution of resources. So unequal distribution of resources, as the natural resources are unequal, that means it is water, then other fertile land, such things are available only in different areas, only in some areas. So unequal distribution of resources also led to a failure in the Green Revolution. Then differences in gains. So as the distribution of resources were unequal, the gains also, the areas having good facilities gained from Green Revolution. Then partial removal of poverty. So as poverty existed, the poor farmers found it difficult to achieve or gain or acquire these new technology. The rise of unemployment. So as it is capital intensive, the labor were less. So this led to unemployment. The neglect of land reform. So we saw that the land reforms had certain loopholes. So as a result, this led to the failure of a Green Revolution. Then farm accidents. Which all are the farm accidents? Farm accidents means the farmers gets affected by health issues because the pesticides and fertilizers etc. are of chemicals and which are poisons. Then overuse of fertilizers leads to ecological degradation. That means it will just lead to the land degradation. Then general reforms. So which all are the general reforms? Irrigation facilities, provision of rural credit, then provision of marketing facilities, and implementation of support price policy. These all are the general reforms. In the general reforms, the irrigation facilities were enhanced. The provision of rural credit means several organizations such as the NABARD and so on were set up for providing credit facilities. Then provision of marketing facilities, that means the cooperative marketing societies were promoted. Such societies were promoted. Then implementation of support price policy, which enhanced which provided a steady income for the farmers. Then the next topic is subsidies. So subsidies are direct or indirect economic benefits or support provided by the government to domestic producers of goods and services. So it is a support or financial support or assistance or the economic benefit that is provided to the domestic producers of goods and services by the government. Then subsidies were needed to encourage farmers to test the new technology. So this allowed the farmers to acquire new technology. Then the benefits of subsidies are give a chance for the small farmers to acquire new technologies, then increase the income of or wages. So income as well as wages of the farmers, because the people got subsidies, this reduced the cost of production. As a result, it also led to the reduction in the food prices, and allowed or provided good wages to the people working in the agricultural sector, as well as increase the income of the farmers, then promote economic growth. As a result, this led to the growth of the economy. Then arguments against subsidies, that means some people said that the subsidies are not required, whereas some of the people were agreeing with or were supportive to subsidies. So the arguments against subsidies are, it does not benefit the target group. So the target group is the poor people. So the subsidies are always provided for the poor farmers to develop their cultivation and their production and productivity, but it is not reaching the target group. It is acquired by the fertilizer industries, because they are the intermediaries and they are providing these subsidies, which is given by the government, but they may not give it correctly, which will lead to the failure of this program. Then it's a burden on the government's finance. So as it is not gaining, as the target group are not gaining these type of subsidies, it is a burden for the government's finance. Then in the case of arguments in favor of subsidies, the arguments are, as farming in India is a risky business, government must provide subsidies. So farming in India is a risky business, it is seasonal, so it will lead to unemployment for the people. As a result, this type of acquiring new technologies by the poor farmers will enhance their production, and this will reduce the seasonal unemployment, because they can produce one or more than two or more than two products or producers or harvested during a year. So it reduces seasonal unemployment. Then subsidies reduces inequality between rich and poor farmers, because the rich farmers are having, or the big farmers are more powerful, so they can acquire all the new technologies and enhance their production. But the poor people, in the case of poor people, if the subsidies are not provided, they are not able to produce this type of or gain new technologies and enhance their production, and that means the rich becomes richer and the poor becomes poorer. They will find it difficult, the poor farmers will find it difficult to enhance their production and gain support in the market. So subsidies are essential. So these are the arguments in favor of subsidies. So these are the topics that we have covered in this session. So we have completed the part 2 of the chapter 2, and I hope this video is helpful for you. And please do comment your doubts and queries in the comment section. So please do like, share and subscribe my channel, and press the bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a video. So thanks for watching. Have a nice day.